My name is Joy. I am the library assistant manager here at Atkinson Library. We are excited to host the crime and safety meeting. We are excited to bring in more programming, more community-oriented programming. I'm so happy that you're here tonight. I'm not going to belabor the moment, but I just want to mention Kiki Palmer is going to be at Centennial Hall on Friday. If you're interested or you know people are interested, check it out. It's a free event. All right. I'm going to turn it over to Captain Jax. Thank you so much for coming to our library. Thank you.
All right, I'm Captain Jax. Thank you for having me and hosting the event here. We're going to start off tonight with the presentation from Enough is Enough.
Sorry.
We're learning.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
this is on-the-job training.
On the job. So we're going to start off with Enough is Enough regarding reckless driving.
Okay, good evening. My name is Charles Dvorak. I'm one of the representatives from Enough is Enough, a legacy for Aaron. And my question, of course, is, have you had enough of reckless driving? I think we've all have. And this is not something that is happening in one area. This is all over. And it's spreading, and it's getting worse. It just gets worse and worse and worse. We're trying to stop the revolving door of people getting caught, getting released, back out, doing it all over again. That's basically what our program is. And okay, I'll be helping with the presentation tonight. The speakers will be myself, Ruth Ergot, Mary Wazerski, and Patty Jerving. So we'll get started here. Yeah, just live with me. Okay, there we go. Okay, now we're starting.
Enough is enough. We have done a lot in a short time. We are a not-for-profit 501c3. We were incorporated April of this year. Enough is Enough, a legacy for Aaron, and really a legacy for all of our children, was established after the death of Erin Mogensen, my daughter, and her unborn baby, my unborn grandbaby. And surrounded by some beautiful people, friends and family. They all worked really hard, really quickly after their deaths and said, enough is enough. We have got to make some changes. We can't let the fact that she died be in vain. So we've got this beautiful group of people, and we want to grow the number of people that we're working with. We're going to tell you our philosophy, which is a little bit different than some. But we are going to make a difference. People say, what is your goal? Our goal is to end reckless driving.
Very good, thank you. Our mission, we're working to eliminate reckless driving that results in injury and loss of innocent life throughout the state of Wisconsin. Right now, we're working mainly in Milwaukee County. We're down at the courthouse, criminal justice facility, as well as the safety building. And we have our court watch badges, and we will sit in on sentencing hearings. And we're not trying to do influence. What we're there for is the victim's family and help them get through this rough time. We have one that, of course, recently and is still kind of going through it a little bit. We haven't done the sentencing yet, but we were there for the trial. We're there to help people through the sentencing, the victims. That's our main concern. And when we're there, we're trying to show the judges that we're watching, and we are watching. We're recording things that are being done. If they're being given light sentences, if they're being given the correct sentence for the correct crime. That's basically what we're trying to do, because judges are elected. They are not given the appointment and oh, I get to sit there for a lifetime and make my own decisions. We have laws. We've been working with legislators, which I'll get to in a minute, but we're trying to get the laws increased and the penalties for the crimes. And reckless driving is getting bad. I mean, it's killing people, smashing property. You know, it's really not going to, you know, this wasn't like this 20, 30, 40 years ago. And it's become almost epidemic. So we're not going in the right direction, but we're trying to get the word out and get these people to understand that fleeing and eluding is not going to be an accepted thing. And right now we're working in Milwaukee County. Eventually we're going to start spreading out, and thus the idea of getting our program going and keeping it going. And here's our focus, which is threefold: judicial accountability, holding the judges responsible, and they're elected. Like I said, if we've got like judges and they're not doing the sentencing properly, or they're just turning this into a revolving door, okay, well, you get no punishment, well, you might as well go out and keep on doing it. And we're not getting anything accomplished, other than people are losing their lives, property, stolen cars, and the list goes on and on and on. We're working with legislative advocacy. We helped get a Senate bill and an Assembly bill passed. We went out to Madison. We spoke on behalf of Bob Donovan, who co-sponsored the bill, and we got it signed. We got it signed by Governor Evers, and that was in March of 29, raising the penalty. Instead of an H, it's now a G felony, which means there's going to be mandatory time for these crimes.
So that legislation is specifically for fleeing a police officer. So the thought is, give teeth to the police officer. You have to stop.
And they're putting their lives on the line when they're going 70, 80, 90 miles an hour. Thank God they've got the training, and believe me, it's nice that they give them the training to be able to deal with the situations that they're dealing with these days. Community education and awareness. This is having these meetings and coming to these meetings, as well as we're here for these meetings also, and letting you people know we have the power. Our voice is what is doing the program. I mean, this is what keeps it going.
So every time we say we, we're not talking about enough is enough. We're talking about community. When we are in court watch, it is not as enough is enough. It's as community spokespeople. So we are there saying the community is tired, the community isn't safe, the community cannot go out at night. We're speaking for the community.
Correct. And Patty, you want to come up? You have a minute? This is Patty Jerving, the mother of Officer Peter Jerving, who recently lost his life. Go ahead.
My son, Peter Jerving, did not lose his life by a reckless driver, but his killer was in court the day before, and felony charges were dismissed. And that young man went out that evening, stole a car, got a gun, and then my son was sent to arrest him. Nobody knew the young man had a gun, but of course he started shooting, and he shot wildly, and of course Peter had to do what police officers do and eliminate the threat. So when I heard about enough is enough, and they go into courts and see what these judges do, I was angry with the Milwaukee criminal justice for a long time, because I felt like they had let Peter down. And so they go in and they just see what these judges do, and eventually they're going to publish their findings about what these judges and prosecutors are doing in court. And as soon as I heard that, last month they came to my district, District 4, where Peter worked and where I live. and they did this presentation, and my husband and I immediately signed up. But one thing that I found out is that the community can write these impact statements. When some crime is committed near your home or in your community, you can write an impact statement. So I check these criminal complaints and find out how far away these reckless driving is happening. Some of them are 3 minutes away from my house, 11 minutes away. So I write an impact statement, and I'd like to read part of one here. A crisis is occurring in my community within the city of Milwaukee. This community impact statement is my willingness to show that I care about my neighborhood. The crime trend of reckless driving has been going on for far too long. These reckless pursuits have become common and shape people's confidence and sense of safety for all who live here. Our streets are not safe, and leniencies have not worked to stop such reckless driving. I care about the police officers, of course, who put their lives on the line in attempts to arrest these reckless drivers who endanger citizens. These men and women of law enforcement only want to protect innocent bystanders who can get hurt or even killed by reckless drivers. Drivers on the streets of the city of Milwaukee should not live in fear that they could suffer injury, pain, or even death because some other driver tries to flee police officers who are only doing their job. And of course, I signed mine. I heard a judge say that he had gotten several impact statements that were not signed. He said he doesn't pay any attention to impact statements that are not signed. I make sure my name, and I put right on there the mother of fallen Milwaukee police officer.
And as we turn in these community impact statements, they have our names on them. Of course, some of the judges look at the community impact statements and they read them and they understand. And these judges, as well as the district attorneys, all live in our community. They live in the same area that we do. So it's not like, they're not affected by it. They try to be the judge and be unbiased, but at the same time, they're the ones that have to make the decisions, the hard decisions. That's why we monitor. That's why we're recording. We go in there and we record the sentences. And we also are reporting, we're gathering all this information that will be used somewhere down the road. Not that we're going to try and blackball judges or anything, but they live in our community also, and they need to understand that we're just plain sick and tired of this. And something has to be done. We've got to stop the revolving door.
So with Court Watch, this is one of your opportunities to get involved.
Yes.
If you've never been down to the courthouse, that's actually where Peter,
Patty?
yeah, used his name. That's where Patty and Doug have first helped. So they come to the courthouse with us a few times now, kind of getting their feet wet. It's really as simple as showing up, hanging out with us, sitting in court with the bright badges that say Court Watch. They're actually lime green, and letting the judges know, letting everyone know that the community is there. So if you're there as Court Watch, you're sitting there representing the community. It's very calm. It's very peaceful. We've had to cry with defendants' families. There's not winners in this. There are losers, but there's not winners. We sit with compassion, understanding this is the worst end of the problem. We're going to get to what we're doing on the other end also, to kind of keep that in 10 years from getting to that place. I jumped ahead, didn't I, Chuck?
No, you did a great job. Thank you very much. Okay, so legislative advocacy is working with the local government agencies and the state legislators, enactment and enforcement. This is why we took the time to testify at the Assembly bill hearing, as well as the Senate bill hearing. We had people stand there and tell their stories, and the legislators heard us, and we got a not unanimous, but it was pretty close to unanimous. It got through the Assembly, it got through the Senate, and it landed on Governor Evers' desk, which was great. We were there for the signing and put it into law. So now they're stiffening up the penalties, which is what we need to have. This is having accountability for the crimes that these people are committing. And we're trying to identify the people that are committed to fighting reckless driving. And this also includes, you know, we've talked to several DAs. They're happy to see us in the back and, you know, supporting the family and supporting the law side of this, as well as I've had a couple of judges walk up to me after a hearing and said, thank you very much for being here. And these are the judges that are not afraid to give out a stiffer sentence, and they don't have a problem with it, but they're happy that the community is speaking to them as well. And that's kind of an important thing. And that was Senate Bill 514 that we helped get passed through, raising fleet elude from H to a G.
The felony
Which
level
is-
of every category got raised.
Yep. So, and now we're working on the next session, is gonna be unregistered vehicles, unlicensed drivers, and the Violent Offender Act, which is with our U.S. Representative Scott Fitzgerald, which is really, I mean, we're trying, and we work with, you know, trying to, you know, give the police some teeth and help them get some of this stuff taken care of. You know, get these cars off the roads. And I'm sorry, but, you know, we're all following the law. Everybody should be not forced, everybody should be following the law. So outreach, education, and enforcement. Ruth?
So we decided to go about this problem a little bit differently. We're not just talking, but we are not only talking about the problem. We are not only going after offenders in the courts. We're not only going after laws. We're doing the really painful task of doing it all at once. Okay, so it was setting wrong with me, and my daughter Erin, I don't know if I spoke her name, Erin Mogensen is my daughter. And that's her picture. I gave her pin to one of the jurors after the trial was over. I was like, where's my pin? And I realized I gave it to one of the jurors. I know that this is part of what Erin's legacy is that right now we've got to stop the hemorrhaging. We've got to be there in the courts, making sure that first-time offenders get a consequence so that they don't become a second-time offender, right? It's not about lock them up, throw away the key. That doesn't serve any of us. But this is as dangerous as a loaded gun. So we need to make sure that there's appropriate repercussion at the lowest offense so that later they don't become habitual and get into problems and kill more of our children. So that's at one end though. We're not going to just keep waiting and every year try to you know, stem that flow. So we are out in the community and we're really talking to people. We are really working with, how do we solve this? Tell me what's going on. And that's why we're here. That's why we were at 5 national night outs in the last month. That's why we have been invited to one of the area high schools to do a presentation. We want to get involved with the driver's license curriculum to make sure that somebody is there in a positive way talking to these kids, right? When you know better, you do better. So it's not about just court watch, that is so important. And it's not about just laws and changing them, that is really important too. But it's also about community engagement, getting all of us together saying, you know what, I can be a part of the solution. And we can give you any number of ways to be involved. At least, at the very least, sign up tonight for our newsletter. Once you sign up for our newsletter, you're going to get a really good sense of who we are. Sign up for our Facebook page then also. Get an idea of who we are. And then see if any part of what we do speaks to you. Is it going to court with us? spending a day with us charming people. We're really fun, actually. It's a good experience. We are.
Yeah.
You know,
It's fascinating in the court.
We're taking pain and we're making this into a real community experience.
It's not
Is
like
it-
on TV where the judge passes sentence and then slams his gavel down.
We have a lot of downtime too, because things happen. But, you know, getting involved. If you don't have the time, but you can letter write. If you're a great website designer and you can help us with that. I mean, we have really just hit the ground running, and we need anybody's expertise that has a passion and says, maybe I can figure out where I fit. If none of that fits and you feel like you might be able to give us $5, $10 to help us with our mission, that's lovely also. Whatever it is that speaks to your heart. So we've had a lot of impact. Like I said, we have 192 people considered. We really started in February. We lost Aaron 11 months ago today. We've accomplished a lot. We have 192 people on our email, 197 on our Facebook group, which is an interactive group, which you can also sign up for. They just ask for a few questions, just so we know you are an actual person. We've participated in the National Night Outs. We have collected petitions that, in addition, we send to the court. So we have these community impact statements. We have one that comes from Enough is Enough that is for that specific defendant, saying why we feel a certain repercussion needs to occur. In addition, other people can write community impact statements. We're going to get to the point where we can say, if you're in this zip code, we've got these things that happen, do you want to write community impact statements? And again, we just ask that they're signed, because we found that if they're not signed, the judges don't read them. We do have a petition signed that we have so many signatures, we're not going to have any more. But actual names, addresses, and telephone numbers, we have 68 people signed that we also present to the judge to say, these are all actual residents here in Milwaukee who are saying, I've had enough. And you've got to sentence appropriately within the guidelines that you're supposed to be sentencing. And you'll see us, hopefully you'll see us on TV now that you're aware of us. You'll know us a little bit more. When we had Senate Bill 514 passed in March 27th, that was just 5 months after we lost Aaron. And we talked about Court Watch. Ben Jordan has been a real friend to telling the story in a way that is helpful and is going to change things. We're not just a spotlight on TV. He's about helping us really figure out how do we give enough exposure to this that people know they really do have a voice. We've said there's 2 ways to approach this. People who showed up at these meetings, and we've been told this, and they say, police department, what are you gonna do about this? Our streets are in an awful, right? And say all the things they say. Or you can be one of the people that steps in and says, all right, I get it. There's an organization like this. What can I do to be a part of it? If it's in the name of your child, let's have your child's name part of this. Amari Smith was our first loss. Amari Smith was a young man who was going to be a barber. He had turned his life around. He was fabulous. And we started Court Watch the day that the courts accepted a plea deal that dropped the most egregious charge against the death of Amari Smith. And we sat there with his mother, and that will never happen again, that happens. We will be there, and we will make sure that the community knows, and the community is watching, that every life matters. There you go.
Thank
I
you.
get a little passionate about Amari. He's like the last one.
Okay, now here we have the voice of the victim. Now this is a woman who had, I'll let her tell her story. Marion Wazierski, please.
setting me up for success. But Ruth, you got a tear to my eye before you even start talking. So when Ruth was talking about making that choice between saying to the police officers, okay, do your job, it's your job, or stepping forward and saying, I'm ready to help, I connected with Enough is Enough because after my story, Enough is Enough was an entree to the question that was ruminating with me is, what do I do now that I have had this miracle? So, Sunday morning, September 4th, 2022, I was walking across the street to my church, and I was hit by a vehicle turning the corner. I'm told the driver paused briefly, got out of the car, said something about being sorry, and then took off. And to this day, my case remains an open case. So my physical injuries included a broken nose and neck bone. Just very small bones, not much, but they were broken. Skin abrasions on both sides of my body, head trauma that resulted in bleeding in my brain and bruising, most of all on my left thigh, which was when the vehicle hit me. But I didn't lose consciousness, but I don't have a clear memory of the incident. I think it's like we're made in such a way that shock steps in, we're protected when really sometimes bad things happen. I didn't require surgery. I was in the hospital just 3 days. While my physical injuries have healed, I do have an annual follow-up for the head trauma. And I do have scars, which will be with me forever. And I wonder, though, about the long-term impact on my physical well-being. Given it was such a miracle that physically, I mean, it was home in 3 days. I mean, it took longer than that to totally heal, but for what happened, it was just amazing. That's what all the medical people said. With the passage of time, though, I realized I also have scars that affect my emotional well-being. This is harder to quantify. It's very personal. But this is also where I connect with the scourge of reckless driving in our community. My current metaphor for the state of terror that we all live in invokes the actions of a sniper. And I have to confess that the idea of this image came to me after watching an adventure crime movie. In the movie, a sniper shot and killed random innocent people walking along a public urban sidewalk. In our reality, I think, reckless driving is the sniper. This sniper attacks at any time, on any day, in any place, and targets anyone. This sniper is eroding our shared sense of safety and security. So every day I ask myself, who will be next? And unfortunately, when I look at my newsfeed, there is another somebody who is next. When and where will this next senseless, avoidable incident happen? Will someone we know and love become the next victim? And I ask, why are so many people acting with selfish disregard for the common good? And will I become a victim again? My final thought, though, is what is it going to take to make this public health threat a top priority for leaders and regular citizens alike?
Welcome, dear. Thank you very much. Okay. Ruth?
So Marion and I met through a mutual friend. We both now go to Capital Lutheran Church. Dave Bold, right, through Capital Lutheran Church. And we both, I think, gave each other the strength to tackle this and go on with it. If you feel today, tomorrow, another day, if you feel the call to action, there's several different ways. You can know about Court Watch. Come and talk to us. You can be a court watcher. You can sponsor a court watcher. For some people, it's become a financial issue to be able to come and help us with the court watch, with the parking costs, having to get lunch, things like that. We say that it averages about $15 a day. You can sponsor a court watcher. You can refer a court watcher to us. You can donate. You can follow us, which is that we're going to show you how you can follow us and find future opportunities to help. When you follow us, we're gonna send you a survey, and it'll kind of tickle your brain, the kind of ways that you can help, things that might be interesting for you. If you're one of those data people, research people, I'm not. We need that desperately. But really, most of all, community empowerment. We need to work with local and state leadership. We need to work with law enforcement. We need to work with community groups like this, and we want you to invite us to your community groups. Through one of these, we were invited to an East Side community group that's very active, and they're going to figure out how we can combine efforts and vote. Vote intelligently, how you think it is best in your thoughts, and vote from your heart. However you vote, vote.
Thank you, Ruth. And I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes.
Go right ahead,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I thought there was somebody behind me.
No.
The impact statements that you write, do they become open record?
They do. They are not on CCAP, but they are part of open records. So if you go down to I think you can get a copy of all of the impact statements. And if you want, I can actually share with you, like what one of our impact statements is. I write them. We've taken a new slant to them, which is telling the judge, you know, Milwaukee is in a crisis, and we need you to look at everything about the defendant and sentence accordingly, and that we understand that second and third chances are what we do as a society, but that we need to do the right thing for young people so that they don't have recidivism. So that's the tone that we give in our statements. I say that it is always loving and productive. But I'd love to share them with you. I have them on my phone. I don't have any printed. I can even send some to you. What is your name?
Dr. Mays.
Hi, Dr. Mays. Nice to meet you.
Good evening. Anybody else?
Yes.
Have any questions?
Yes.
Well, yes, go ahead.
First of all, you need to be commended.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. What is your name?
Ann Wilson.
Hi, Anne.
Good evening.
But I guess my question is, I know the one thing that you said you were doing, I apologize for being late.
It's okay.
Along the way. That to get stricter court on the first time round, have you given any thought to what we can do before it ever gets to court? Like what's causing these young people to do this? And is there anything else they can do before, because if it gets to court, something has happened to a precious individual.
So
If it never gets to court, then we don't even have to hold that discussion. Little baby will be here. So have you any ideas around why do they? Maybe that's a police question.
No, that's an us question. And I really appreciate that, because it gets me a chance to say my tripod approach to all of this. It is really important, because if we're going to hang on to a legacy for Erin, that we conduct ourselves the way that she would be proud of. And that is that we do not just punish the problem here on one end, but we have got to be in the community figuring out how to solve this. You know, and people have said, well, you're never going to solve it because you're never going to solve families. Well, you're never going to solve it because you can't solve schools. Well, we're going to figure out how we can solve it, right? And when you know better, you do better. When you have resources, you do better. We need to look at the curriculum with driver's ed. Luckily, we had the barrier to driver's ed pretty much go away, right, with the recent funding for driver's ed. That's Erin's legacy. Erin's legacy is all three at the same time. We are never going to just focus on one of them. Community, that is the hardest. That is going to be you can't quantify it. I can't say in 3 months that we've changed community. What I can say is victims now know that they can reach out to us and do it because we've been there. And
I had an idea once a long time ago. There's a tendency for people to say that. I had a police officer friend one time who said, every time somebody say do something, they say it won't work, so it never work. But I attended a session with some young people who most of them were there because of reckless driving, and I asked one of the young people why they did it, because I'd be interested in why people do what they do. And they said because it's an adrenaline kind of thing. It's high. You get a high off of going 100 miles an hour and all that. So I said, because I believe in partnerships, that's one thing I believe. Why don't they partner with some of these people who have the racetracks and let them go out there where it's safe and won't kill anybody and ride and just go fast you want to go, because that's what they do, and it's a trained way. You want to really go fast. Well, somebody said, oh no, you can't do that. That won't work. So I just kind of got about it because they said, oh yeah, and that'll tell them to go do some more stuff. But if it is an adrenaline high, it's just like if you want to go out for a cocktail or something, you won't get your high going home to bed. Most people now, there are exceptions to everything, but it's just a thought that why are they doing it? And if we find out why they're doing it, can you substitute something for why they're doing it? And I'm not talking about those who just want to do wrong.
yeah, and I get that. That is actually really, really good. And we have talked about, some community programs that are out there for youth don't get filled. It's like, why aren't they getting filled? Because you can't get the word out, so how do we get the word out? Because if you had summer programs that everybody knew that they were invited to, welcome to, it's also why we're working within the churches. Because I think churches are gonna be a key to us solving this, right? They know the community so well. But that is part of our community outreach and education. It's saying, everybody out there, let's get talking. You know what, and we call that spitballing, right? Let's spitball all of these really great ideas and see which ones stick, right? But you'll never hear from me, well, we can't do that. It's like, you know what? That's one to think about. And that actually is one to think about. It goes ahead with all the programming that we need to make sure is available.
See, that's one of the problems that we're having, is we're catching them at the far end. After second time, third time, going through the court system. They got off, they got their chance. And then they got a second chance, then they got a third chance. And now we're already 4 and 5 and 6. No, the problem is we want to catch them before they start all these problems and correct their behavior, or at least get them to at least start telling us, okay, what's the problem? You don't have enough something going on in your life that you've got to go out and do this. And yes, I understand that it's a little bit rougher in the city, but there are programs out there. We have the Boys and Girls Clubs. We have churches. We have after-school activities going on. This isn't a solution.
The library.
There you go, the library. Pick up a book, read a book.
Way to take
Yes,
advantage
but
of the opportunity.
thank you very much. But the problem is, what we see is the far end. We're trying to get out to these communities and tell you guys, we want to catch it at the start. And I'm not saying harsher penalties for the first time around, but if that's what it takes to get people, we've got all these police officers out there working their tails off doing this, that, and everything, and we don't have enough of them. But the bigger issue is we want to catch them before they start all this constant in and out the revolving door down at the courthouse, criminal justice facility, safety building. And we're down there, 3, 4, 5 times a week going to these sentencing hearings, and it's like we were catching it at the wrong end.
Which is why
That's why we're doing the community outreach.
We have to do community outreach, right? We have
We're
to
trying to get,
figure that out.
have these people at least go home and talk to the kids about it. Let them know, this is the far end. This is where you're gonna end up if you don't correct that behavior now.
Anybody else?
Any other questions?
Great questions.
Yes, thank you very much. Go ahead,
Yes.
dear.
Have you had any luck connecting with the juvenile justice
So,
system?
right now, we need more people. We need some people, and you don't have to have experience, you just have to have a nice calm demeanor with us, attend with us. If you need a ride, we'll come pick you up. Don't let anything be a barrier. We need more people. And once we have enough people taking care of Milwaukee court system, we do want to move to the juvenile system, because in the juvenile courts, which is Wauwatosa, which is really easy for most people to get to, that's, I think, where we're again going to make a lot of difference, right? We're going to be able to be there for the programs, but right now we need people. And really, truly, if you gave us 1 or 2 days a month, we would be blessed.
Yes.
Because that would be enough. But that's exactly where this is going to go. Before we even move to other counties, we will be going to the Milwaukee juvenile courts and seeing what we can replicate there and what kind of support we can be in a very positive and loving way. If you haven't seen that already, this is positive and loving. Yes?
Can I just piggyback on that? There's a book you guys might be interested in, written by a retired police captain from MPD, Jim Pelajeski, who's familiar. It's called Beyond Vengeance and Retribution, a reasoned approach to law enforcement. When you catch children early in the process, for young people, to set the message early in the process, hey, you can't do this.
Yes.
This is gonna stink.
Yeah.
Rather than, hey, we're gonna slap you on the wrist, we're gonna slap you on the wrist, now you're 18, and now you're going away for 10 years.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, that's really good. Marion just wrote it down. Yeah, one of the things that we have seen, an ADA who's
Thank you.
been really helpful to us, has a youth program at the juvenile
Justice facility.
facility. And that is something that is really important to us. We understand that anger and retribution isn't going to get us anywhere. You know, and I'm sad that Aaron is gone, but I can't live my life being angry at the perpetrator. His life is over. He chose it.
And we want these kids to make better choices.
Yeah.
No, that's it right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
You know, get them educated, tell them, okay, you're here, do you want to be here, or do you want to be up here somewhere? And that's the whole point of talking in the communities. You know, get them educated, this is what is going to happen, these are the directions that you're going to go, and it's your choice to make. And you know, I feel sad about a lot of these kids, 18, 19, 20 years old. We just went to one last week, 21 in, 16 out, 21 years. And he's in his early 20s.
That's my point.
Yes.
It's not,
And-
I don't believe that these young people get up and say, let me go kill somebody today.
No, and I understand, yes.
We have got to figure out why they're doing it.
Yeah.
And some of them, once you get out there so far, you're out there and you can't get back. And I don't deal in absolutes. There are some that are just gonna be that way and they need to find somewhere to keep them there. But for those who make mistakes, because I've seen some of these young people, when they get to court, they break down, fall out, holler mama, and do all that stuff that they really should have been doing before, but that's a separate issue.
And we were at a case last week where the guy broke down crying in front of the judge, and the judge, you know,
It's sad.
yeah, and it is. But you know, he had a 10 years where there wasn't anything going on in his life. Yeah, he messed around when he was 17, 18. He went 10 years. He even on that day, in front of the judge, he really couldn't explain why he took off from the cops all of a sudden. You know, and education here is, if you pull over, okay, maybe you get a ticket, you know, but the minute you start taking off, it raises it into felony. And that's not something you get rid of. It's not something you spend 5 years in prison, 10, whatever. You're a felon for the rest of your life. We're trying to catch them before they get to that point.
So what we've seen is some really positive changes. There are some known judges who literally are just slapping the kids on the wrist with a little bit of probation every time it happens. And I understand, we've talked to them about their reasoning. We really do understand, and we're not gonna tell them how to be a judge. But we also let them know our philosophy, which is that any child, you need to show some actual concrete repercussions so that they learn right from wrong. So we had a really big win on one where this judge would normally have given a probation sentence and sentenced this person to 3 years in prison, stayed, which means that they're going to go home that day. But if they violate, now it's up to them. If they violate, they're gonna go back to jail, right? So it's up to them. That was a beautiful win for me because that was fair. That was very fair. So, get me on my, any other questions? We'll hang around until after the meeting. Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
You have 2 Facebook pages for beer. Are they the same? I just pulled it up. Not just 2 of them. It says-
Oh,
I
one
goofed that up.
is,
Wait. Nope. Wrong way. Okay, explain, oh,
so we have a Facebook page which is open to everybody. You can just go and see us and see what we're all about. And we have a Facebook group that you will need to give us your name and information so that we know who you are. And we have a little bit more free conversation. It was in the group that I told everybody that we were going to be here tonight, things like that. Is that what you saw?
I'm saying both. Just asking.
Oh, on Facebook?
I'm looking at it, yes.
When you're searching,
Okay.
one is a page and one is a group. So if you look at the one that says a group, that's the one where you'll join us. I'll come look at it.
Okay.
But we'll be here until the meeting's done.
yeah.
And we would love to sign you up. So here's how it works. This is the QR code to sign up. You just, I do that right in front of that thing. And you just use your camera to take a photo of it, and you can sign up. You'll get into our email system, and from there you'll learn about our Facebook page. It'll be a link to the Facebook pages. Instagram, don't even go there because I don't know how to use Instagram. We're learning. If somebody can show me how to use Instagram. And the other thing we need to learn is TikTok, if anybody's good at that. See all the things you can help us with. But we'd love to get you signed up. If you don't want to use the technology, we've got some sign-up sheets in the back.
Yes,
But
we
make
do.
sure you stop and talk to us. Thank you
Yeah,
so much. Would you mind inviting us back in 6 months?
Oh, sure.
We would love to update you on where we've come. This has been a year, almost 6 months of growth. We'd love to show you where we are again.
I want to thank you guys for coming and sharing.
Thank you very much. We're ready, oh yeah, there you go, you can have that back.
I know.
Thank you very much.
Nobody's made us use the clicker.
Oh, sorry. Oh,
My presentation is not as interesting. But I'm Captain Jax from D5. This is our October Private Safety meeting. As we try to go through the numbers with you, what's going on in the districts. In the month of August, we have we had 1 homicide. In the month of September, we had 2 that occurred in our district. A little about that. So there is an increase to 100%. One of the homicides has been cleared as a self-defense. The other one was semi-related to it. That individual, that young man, is currently wanted, and there's a warrant out for his arrest. But overall, year to date, we are down in the entire city and in district number 5, 27%. Our sexual assaults has also dropped from August to September by 38%, and we're on pace for the year of being down to 35%. Our robberies from August to September were dropped down to 38%. We did a lot of extra patrols in areas where this was occurring, deterring some of that activity, and it has started to help overall for the year, we're still up, but we're trending downward. Our aggravated assaults, like batteries and non-fatal shootings, sometimes count as that too. From August, we have 135. Now in September, we dropped down to 81 incidents, a 40% drop, and we're still down for the year by 13%. Human trafficking incidents, we had none last month, and we are still a little bit high for the year at 67%. Our total violent crime is down 39% from the month of August to the month of September. And for the year to date, from last year to this year, we're down 11%. So we are making progress. We're doing a lot of extra patrols. Officers are out there, they're being visible, they're taking really good enforcement action. Our burglaries have also dropped down. We've been trying to focus in on those. Those are one of those things, unfortunately, where people get arrested and they get out like the next day, or they're not held in the jail system. But we do focus in on those. We do try to keep those people who are committing those crimes at bay. We're down 21% from last month, and overall year to date, we're down 19% from last year. Our thefts are also down by 26%, and 8% down for the entire year. Our auto thefts, those in the month of August we had 83, and September we dropped down to 49. We had a couple, what's called a directed patrol missions around certain areas where thefts were occurring. We were able to get some of those numbers down. Obviously, those are one of those type of crimes where kids are still in cars and they're driving reckless. We do try to focus in on those. For the year, we're still up by 8%, but we are starting to trend downwards using the enforcement mechanism. Regarding the auto thefts, which also leads to like our reckless driving. The city has, the department in the city has taken some extra measures. They partnered with the city attorney's office. So maybe not so much like the stolen cars, people who are driving reckless in the city. Overall, when they get stopped, they're going to receive a citation. The city attorney's office has committed to not negotiating a lesser charge for those instances now. So once you get one, the second time that you get another reckless driving ticket, you're going to get detained. You get taken down to the district station, but you'll get released in a couple hours. But the big thing with it is the biggest deterrent with it is not so much that they're going to get arrested and get a second ticket, is that the car is now going to be towed to the tow lot. So now they're going to have, you know.
And that has started?
Yes, we're just starting that. It's going to take a little while to start to take effect, because you got to have a record of a conviction for us to take the enforcement action of now towing the car. And then every instance past that, your car will just get towed. So now they have the expense of paying for the tow, paying for the storage, paying to get the car out of there, plus the ticket and court fees. So we're trying to prevent some of the reckless driving, and also prevent the behavior before it becomes a tragic story. Arsons have ticked up. We had 5 arson incidents last month, 2 of which happened on the same day. And we had one big fire off of Center Street. So those are up by 25%, and over the year they're up 11% from last year. Our total property crime is still down by 30% from last month. This month, with 5% down for the entire year. Our non-fatal shootings for the month of August was 26. The month of September, we only had 10, which is good. I mean, obviously, 0 would be the best, but we're starting to trend downwards. That was a 62% change, and then for the year, they actually have trended downwards by 16%. One thing the city has been doing that's been working well is the officers and the detectives have done a really good job of figuring out who's involved in these crimes and holding those people accountable. I think it does help with reducing repeat offenders because now they're getting caught and they're being held accountable. And I mean, although they do cry when they get to court, on the street they're bad, but they don't want to go to prison, believe it or not. In their mind, they think, well, why do I have to go to prison for this? But now that they're starting to be held accountable, their friends are starting to be held accountable, you starting to see the numbers start to drop. Carjackings, those have always been a major problem here. In District number 5 and District number 1, in August we had 7, and in September we dropped down to 5. Year to date, we're still up pretty high. We had a big spike over the summer and over the spring. They have came down a lot. We have a lot of different patrols, and I will say that it's not officers in D5 and throughout the city. We had a carjacking DPM. They're finding those cars. They're catching those people. They're holding them accountable, from the people who are driving the car to the people who are just passengers in the car. They're being held accountable. They're being arrested, and we're working, of course, to make sure that they're being charged. Especially even that the one thing that has brought down the numbers a lot this year was working with the DA's office at the Children's Court, getting those cases charged. A lot of times things will fall through the cracks. They don't feel they have enough to issue charges, or they want to maybe not give them enough time and stuff like that. But they really have focused in on, these individuals right here have committed X amount of armed robberies. These individuals right here have disrupted this many lives. And they're also, if they're involved in a carjacking, they're also involved in reckless driving, and they're terrorizing the city. So the DA's office has been focusing on that. They have been charging these kids, and they have been holding them longer. And once we do have them identified, maybe the ones who are not as bad, we do have programs. There's a lot of great people out there who have focused in on these kids, who have really tried to help them to keep them from becoming those repeat offenders. And some of those are really having some really good success stories. So we are working on it with our community partners. This is a slide that shows you the automatic districts and the crime that occurs in them. Obviously, District 1 is Pratt, District 3 is Roscoff, 6 is Coggs, 7 is Jackson, and 15 is Stamford. 5 has a bunch of different automatic districts. They're kind of unique that way. Coggs, if you wonder why number 6 has the most crime, because she makes up her entire district is encompassing 5. Yes.
I have a question. This regarding the data that is before this.
Okay.
How is your data? The data seems that the number seems to be equal. So I guess I was wondering, how are you figuring the data?
So some data
What
points.
determines an actual effect? Is it the complaint itself? Is it the no action encounters? Is it the district attorney decision to charge the case as a complaint effect?
So these numbers come directly from us. So you're looking at year to date.
Year to date?
You're right. So let's say like for 2023, this would be from January 1st through September 30th of 2023. And we're comparing those exact same numbers from January 1st of 2024 to September 30th, 2024. So those are the year-to-date numbers. And then on the right side here, you have the numbers are just from August through September, comparing those 2 months.
Okay, and that stems from the actual complaint itself?
active plans from like when someone calls 911, and these are just the internal numbers for the Milwaukee Police Department. So these are not like charging decisions.
Are they coming from actual complaint, or would a complaint be a part of the, a no action encounter? Or are we speaking about if the DA decides to charge a case? Are those are numbers just where someone calls and makes a complaint?
Yes, so these are reports that are followed by police officers.
Oh, by the police officer?
Yes, so police officers, so a citizen will call, police officer will file a report, and the report will get classified. So this has nothing to, no action encounters, something totally different that has to do with, the police officer has contact with someone. And these incidents right here doesn't really, discuss, no, these numbers don't reflect what cases are charged by the DA's office.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
On most of these, do you just add them all together, or is there a way to separate those who are committed by young people under 18? Or do you just put it, say like for instance, auto theft, does it matter whether they were 15 or 55?
No, it doesn't make it.
You just put them all together?
Yes, they're all together. Anyone else about?
I was just curious, when you were discussing, you guys are actually catching these juveniles, they are doing time. Are they doing any programs while they're doing that time for reckless driving to? Thanks.
I don't have a clear answer. I assume so. I know there's a lot of programs that the Children's Court does have, Running Rebels, Wraparound, there's a bunch of other community groups I can't off the top of my head. That are, yes. Yes. But they do talk to those kids, they do try to get them out. Anyone else have a question about this slide? So back to automatic districts, you can kind of look to see, depending on where you live at, if you live in 5. So these numbers are only for district number 5, not the entire automatic district besides for cause. Everyone else is small. Most of these districts are a very small area. So besides 6, everyone else has a very small area. So it is not a true representation of that actual district. Anyone have any questions regarding this slide? Or? All right, this slide is our violent crime slide. It kind of gives you more of an outlook over so the red dots represent the 2 homicides that occurred in our district, in our Alani neighborhood and our Garden Homes neighborhood. The blue dots are non-fatal shootings. Most of them are concentrated on the west side of the district, Arlington Heights, Franklin Heights, the Alani neighborhood, and the Orchard Field area. One of them has occurred in the Harami neighborhood. Most of these areas are in what is called a micro hotspot. We do have extra patrols there, but these are mostly like our higher crime neighborhoods that kind of need more help, where a lot of the young men need more jobs, more things to focus in on. We do community pop-ups over those areas. We recently had, I think, in the Garden Homes area, had like a little job fair thing there to get the young men over there an opportunity to apply for jobs, to try to help change their lives. I think I met a lot of great community groups that are over there that are really trying to focus in on this, to try to reduce some of their crime in those areas. The black dots are aggravated assaults. Talk about on other slides. Those are kind of spread throughout the entire district. And firearm-related incidents have a little, yellow U around them. Those are like our non-fatal shootings or like robberies with a gun. Let's see. Our aggravated assaults were 81 and our non-fatal shootings were 10. Firearm-related made up 41% of the assignments, and DV-related are 25%. We do have our DV HRT team that does focus in on those high-risk victims to try to get them help and try to get them out of those type of situations. This is our robbery carjacking slide. Like I said, our carjackings have been down. Initially, I know in August, the big area was in the River West, Rivers Hill, and part of the Raleigh area. There was a major, and D1 area, there was a big concentration of trying to reduce those numbers. There was a lot of robberies that were going on in that area too. During a time period, we were able to capture arrest most of those groups who were involved in those. It did help overall for the district. We do have a couple carjackings that have occurred over in the Garden Homes area and King area and Arlington Heights. We do have patrols in this area, and we'll also use what's called the Specialized Patrol Division as a supplement to our squads that we have here. So we're still working on trying to bring those numbers down for the entire district. The purple dots are robberies. Most of these are street robberies.
Question?
Yes.
Specialized patrols, those are especially trained to notice.
So the Specialized Patrol Division basically is a supplemental district, right? They include like our traffic cars, the motorcycles, the horses, our tax squad. They're more like they're not based off a district. They're kind of like, I'm having a problem in my district. I'll call the captain of that division and say, hey, can I borrow some of their traffic safety cars to concentrate in this area because I only have X amount of squads now working on the street and they're tied up on these other DPMs, or I need them to take assignments.
Gotcha.
So, okay. So. This next slide is the burglary slide. Now, the yellow dot is a business. We have been having an issue over the past month with burglaries to new businesses. I do have officers who, that's their main focus is those, and we obviously have what's called the Major Crimes Division, works out of downtown. Now, they also help us out with the investigation. The burglaries that are occurring in this district and in other districts, we believe are going to be maybe a couple of different teams that are doing this. We are aware of them. We're looking for them. A lot of what happens is, they might one night they might break into like 3 or 4 different stores or businesses, and we try to get them on camera, but unless someone calls the police right then, we don't find out about it until like hours later that this place was like burglarized. So usually if something happens at like 2 o'clock in the morning, the owner might not get there and might not realize until like 6 or 7 in the morning when they first arrive. So a lot of times we're playing catch up and trying to find them. The blue dots are residential burglaries. We had 7. Those are not as common. A lot of times, I believe a few of these instances are known actors, like an ex-boyfriend or a friend or something like that breaking, or a family member breaking into someone's house. It doesn't happen too often where we have a stranger breaking into a house. Garage burglaries, there are 4. I will say about the garage burglaries is obviously a lot of times they're breaking in trying to steal like snow blowers, lawnmowers. That happens. It does tend to pick up towards like the fall months when people are out and looking for extra stuff to steal. But we do we do have our squad driving through the alleys, looking for those people who don't belong, or obviously walking down the street with a snowboard that makes no sense. And others. There are auto thefts. So these are kind of spread throughout the district. Hyundais are our biggest stolen car, like 13, they account for 27%. GMC is made up 10, Kia 7, and Ford is 5. Those are the top 4 stolen cars. Obviously, if you don't know, Hyundai and Kia have came out with software patches to be able to help you prevent your car from being stolen. It does work. You just have to try to educate more people to go out there and get this done. It is free. It doesn't cost anything. I know we don't pass out clubs anymore, but you know, if they take your car to the dealership, I know last month there was Hyundai and had like a pop-up path off Capitol Drive for like 3 days. They have people just come there so they don't take their cars, so the car won't get stolen. We just need more people to do it to help cut down on that. Unfortunately, some of these auto thefts are going to be a little bit harder. As a technology guy, I read a lot about the new trends that are coming up in like other major cities. Fortunately, there's a lot of new devices out there that even with smart locks and keys, key chips, they're able to clone a lot more faster and steal cars. It hasn't really hit Milwaukee quite yet. Often, it does happen here, but not often. So.
What is the number 1?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
The number 1 vehicle in stolen?
Hyundai.
Did you say Honda or Hyundai?
Hyundai. Yeah. Hondas are not as easy to steal, but they can be stolen with the new technology. Some of the armed robberies we had, they would over the past summer, they would rob locksmiths to try to get their equipment, who obviously have the ability to rekey cars and reprogram keys. That's a big thing in Chicago. Slowly starting to come up here, but you know, as technology changes, hopefully we're able to figure out some of those things to be able to prevent that from happening. So I always tell people to make sure that you're aware of where you're parking. If you have a club or make it harder for, if you can't park in the garage, do so. Do everything that you can. Upcoming community events. We have an open house at our Safety Academy on this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we have the Emergency Gun Violence Summit. I can't read, sorry. October 10th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we also have a haunted house at the Academy on Friday, October 11th. I think some of our members here are going to dress up in costumes.
Maybe?
Yeah. So you want to bring your kids? I guess it's a really good event.
But one of our officers used to work, one of our officers on the OCO out of the academy, he used to work at a haunted house. He puts it together. I went through it last year. It is legit. I wasn't scared though.
All right. Any questions, comments, concerns?
I have a question.
Yes.
So, far as, I don't even know how to do that. My daughter and I are here today because she bought a house and there's a group of bums. Well, not unhoused people, but like bums that's selling drugs, and they hang out right there on the corner of Fifth and Center, and they don't be allowed to stay there, like they are there every day. And it's like, you know, I'm so proud of her, she was able to buy a house, but my granddaughter calls me at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 bullets come through the window. You know, she can't sleep at night because, you know, she gotta go to work because they're up all night with noise and everything. I even went around there to talk with, who's the guy that owned the auto shop, cause they named the street after him. So I wanted to, Mr. Adams, yeah, I wanted to, you know, find out how he deals with this every day, and he was like, you know, basically he negotiating with them out there because nobody can do anything, so it's like, what can you do about it? You know, she bought a house, she's so proud of it. You know, my grandbaby's calling me, she was so excited about the house in her room, and now look, coming through the window, it's just like, what can you do when you feel like you're being trapped in your own house?
Well, first, I'm sorry. First, congratulations on buying your first house, all right? That is an awesome thing, an awesome feeling, okay? And obviously, we want you to feel safe in your house.
Yeah, like, you know, Dr. Fuller, like, built the school, and my 16-year-old, her son, he actually got school there, so he has to walk to school every day. They can't even walk down the street, they can't. I own a home around the corner, it's hard for them to, you know, they have to leave out the back door, come around, it's like, what is the point of buying a house in this neighborhood?
Is that Fifth and Center?
Yes.
Is that by the gas station, right?
Yeah, so
Yes.
it's across from the liquor store.
Oh, the liquor store.
Yeah. So they're right there on that corner where the Sprinter's Lounge is.
Oh.
But then they're around the corner where there's nothing there, it's just, they're just allowed to sit there every day.
In the second house, right?
It's the auto shop, and they're right there in the corner, and then the auto shop.
Okay. I'll have some squads patrols, do some extra patrols over in that area. Obviously, we have those issues in several of the neighborhoods of young men hanging out, selling drugs, hanging out, drinking all day long.
They got chairs and stuff, they like they lounge out every day.
We can do is sometimes I was request our mobile camera. Sometimes it does help move people around. They know that they're being watched. We used that recently in like the garbage home area. It was effective for a few days. We're all working as a city to get more of those units to help displace some of those people, move them around, to make them feel uncomfortable, selling drugs and being involved in illegal activity in those areas. But we'll have some squads. My officers will get your name and your address, and we'll see if we can have some more squads over there in the area. Yeah.
Just with that, the one at the center, just to let you know, District 5, we're working in that area. We're also working with the business in that area. Right now, we have requested to move a camera into that area to observe the activity in there. With other people with concerns and issues regarding that, so we are working in that area. I'm not sure how much, what we're doing. There's extra patrol. My partner and myself went yesterday and just kind of sat there for like 10-15 minutes. And just kind of see what's out there after hours, because when we work, you know, different hours is kind of a different action in the area, so.
Yeah, but they're there all day, every day.
And we're talking about like when the business open at 8 o'clock, or we're talking about just
Like right there on the community center every day, all day.
5:59 the next morning.
So currently the camera, they took it for a charge, which we have to have a charge, but, we're working on posting the camera in that area, so hopefully the activity kind of.
I got one question. Are you talking about down by Twisters? I mean, down by Savoy's, on Locust, like closer to y'all?
No,
No.
we're talking about where the liquor store, and then there's, and then there's across the street is, yeah, and then it's an empty lot, so we're putting
Actually,
the
where
camera
a
right there.
female, was shot at, they were driving down the street, the twin sister with her kids in the car. And yeah, the memorial, they just had a memorial for it, but I felt so bad because the guys, they're arguing over a cigarette, I believe, and just shooting, and little girl right down the street and they shot her. And so when the bullets came through my daughter's house, I'm like, so we're just, I mean, like they're fixing up in the neighborhood, we ride around the neighborhood, we're so proud of everything they're doing. But, these guys are just allowed to just take over the neighborhood.
Also, what we're finding out is with the area, let's say there's people who are not taking care of like the bushes or the weeds are overgrowing, or it's just a dark area that you haven't submitted a complaint to. It attracts a lot of people. My best recommendation is to, a citizen that lives in the area to contact your alderwoman or alderman, conduct a walkthrough, and request DPW, request DNS, request officers, request anybody that's gonna make a difference in that, and maybe if we clean it up a little bit, maybe the activity in there will kind of decrease. But if we kind of start working, like, I believe in that corner where the shop is, it's like an overgrown tree or something like that, and it looks super, super dark. And you have to be literally close enough to observe, any activity, you know, and we park distance, I mean, but we could probably do a knock and talk.
They're there, and I mean, like, you are allowed to just louder on the street, cause like, kids can't even walk down.
We can also do just with the, I'm not sure what it is it cops or is it cops?
Cops, yeah.
We could do a walking through, we could knock at that business, just bring the, you know, address some of the issues, hey, you know, can we
Now,
work
is there a
together?
business there, because the business, Mr. Adams' shop is here, and they're on the corner right there, so there's no business there, it's just us, just empty. There's not even a house there, because Twister is this way, and they're just right there on the corner.
Yep, we could just say, hey, we could just show up, it's like, hey, you know, can we work together, if there's some concerns, we're just trying to address. See if we could come up with a plan first, if not, I mean, we could come up with other kind of strategies, you know, and other ideas that we could kind of help, but, definitely we are working on putting a camera there. You could contact, I'm not sure, do you have like a captain in your community that's
We
able
ain't
to
got
reach
too
out?
brochure to come to this meeting, so we're trying to do this the right way, so like,
Yes.
we're, like.
And then you don't even have to be part of just if the people that live in that same block.
I
want
didn't
to
want
do it.
her calling the police, I don't want them to come to her house or something like that, because, you know, like, I don't want her just calling the police.
I mean, I did though, cause I'm not.
She did,
I left
but
my
I
name,
don't want
phone
her,
number, everything.
you know,
And unfortunately,
I wanna do it the right way.
when we call the police, it's kind of bringing it to our attention that all this activity is going on, and it draws a picture to us as to see
Yeah,
how
but I
wide it is.
call it anonymous.
Yeah, you're more welcome to call,
Yeah.
as long as that call is there and saying, okay, these are the activities, drugs, suspicious person, abandoned autos, a lot of reckless driving, something, but it's drawing us a picture as to what kind of, plan we could come up with, and then focus on that area. Cause every area is different for us, I can tell you that, but depending on the complaints and things like that, we do work, but it's kind of like a slow process, so it's not like a big change
Yeah.
like the next day, but we are working.
And I really just want you guys to understand too, it is a community effort.
Yeah.
And so we do rely on the citizens' complaints, we do rely on DNS, which is Department of Neighborhood Services, DPW, which is Department of Public Works. We all work together on a regular, daily basis to solve these type of issues. So we do want you to understand, even the help of, the residential cameras helps. So even you probably more lighting in that area, you know, us getting the bushes cut down, that eliminates that loitering that I've seen over plenty of states. They come with these, strategies to try to help out the loitering and all other things, but we really rely on you guys too.
And
We
if
rely
it's-
on all of us to work together.
And if it's tenants causing the problem, because most of our complaints are from, people just renting, they're not owners moving now into the residence. But we have wonderful Mark here that can always assist us with our train, you know, he can guide us to better of how to resolve this with the city and stuff like that. Things like that we could always find other resources. I know most people think that we only deal with just the criminal, but we got a great team working with District 5. Like I said, the city helped us a lot, just we get one call and we're like, hey, how can we resolve this as soon as possible instead of just like, you know, doing the full block. We have a great team. I'm telling you, we have a great team. And our captain is really great on thumbs up on pretty much of our ideas, we just kind of bring it up, our boss lady, Sorry, Jake. He just came out. We bring our concerns to her, like, hey, this is our plan, this is our, and then, you know, it goes, kind of moves up in the chain. We just don't act. We also make sure that it's okay with the citizens, because people don't wanna be a victim of retaliation, people don't wanna be recognized. So we try to make it as a big group, so then they don't have to just one finger, oh, that is the particular person. So we try to make it more of a, kind of a big group than just a one person, because then it'll be, okay. But any questions, don't hesitate. I'm not sure if you got the contact information.
We don't have it. We just, the first start here.
Okay, reach out. Oh, wait, I don't have, reach out to District 5. And this goes to anyone. Reach out to District 5 with any issue, whether it's, tenant issue, whether or not it's your neighbor's issue, whether or not it's street lights, something. Call us. We'll be able to help you and then find the correct resource to, and also we work with the district attorney, there's a DA assigned to it. But contact District 5 and then talk to, a CPU officer, it's called a Community Partnership Unit, a CPU, okay? But let's start, if you could reach out to your, Ms. Cox, as soon as possible, they'll be great before winter comes, so like that. I know in the winter time, everybody somewhere somehow finds a place to, but if you can do it now to fix the problems before next year, it'll be great. The lightning and all that kind of stuff, yes.
I think we only have a place at 7 o'clock.
Okay, thank you very much.
I think thank everyone for coming. You have something really quick you want to ask?
I understand what you're going through. I understand exactly what you're going